Purple Puppy here. So today I'm going to be addressing Laci Green about a request to discuss a controversial topic. Before I get to what it is, I want to focus on why I chose to address you, Laci Green. So I chose you because you have 1.5 million subscribers, and I think that's really important for what the topic is and the reach that you have. Also, back in 2014, you came out as a feminist, and following that, in May of 2017, you came out as red pilled. So you're probably going to be more open to this than any other feminist on YouTube right now. Also, about a week ago in your last video, you discussed the different viewpoints of how many genders there are according to anti-feminists, radical feminists, and liberal feminists. And I think that's really important because this pretty much takes the layout of how I'd want you to address the issue at hand. And I know back in your video, whenever you came out as a feminist, you also touched this a little bit. So the topic that I want you to be addressing is the gender wage gap. And I really do want you to take the sides of anti-feminists, radical feminists, and liberal feminists like you do in your last video about the how many genders. So, everyone knows about the 70 cents or 77 cents to the dollar statistic. I mean, even Obama, he's talked about it. And it tends to be both the radical and the liberal feminist view. And I think it's really important, at least to show teenagers about the anti-feminist view. And here I will be discussing why. So most anti-feminists tend to think that the gender wage gap is not an issue. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying most. And so today I will be showing an argument as an anti-feminist and why I think it's important that you discuss it. So for starters, I do understand that this was an issue before, back when women were just entering the workforce. So I know the Equal Pay Act of 1963, which was signed by JFK, was definitely there because it was needed, and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Both were really needed, I get that. But clearly it wasn't fixed in a day, and it took some time. But what I will be arguing right now is that as of today, and as an anti-feminist, that it is no longer this huge issue. And like I said, I do not stand for all anti-feminists. So one small point that will feed into the rest of it is that the 77 cents to the dollar statistics is an earnings gap, not necessarily a pay gap. So it is the median earnings of all men and women of any full-time job from census data. And even though the census is a reputable source, for it to be accurate, we're going to need to have a comparison of men and women doing exactly the same job with exactly the same qualifications that have been doing it for exactly the same amount of time, which is clearly unrealistic, and it's going to be really hard to find. And as a student studying economics, I get it. I mean, running those regression analyses and finding the data would be extremely hard. So the main part that I really want to focus on today is looking at the gender wage gap statistic and its regression as it is, and discussing how technically the equation is not really finished. So there was a study done in Germany that attempted to explain the gender wage gap using reservation wages. So even though it was done in Germany, I figured that it'd still be relevant since it is a westernized culture like the United States, and also has a similar 77 cents to the dollar statistics, but in euros. So a reservation wage is the absolute minimum wage that someone will take for a job. Because this study's so long, I'm just going to focus on the highlights because it really covers just what I want you to look at. So in the first bullet point, it says that reservation wages are an important determinant of the gender wage gap. And this really ties in with the second bullet point, saying that the gender wage gap becomes small and statistically insignificant once we control for reservation wages. I feel like those two bullet points together really show that the reservation wages helps close that 23% that can't be explained or hasn't been explained before. Looking at the third bullet point, we show that it is not driven by potential endogeneity, and I understand that's an economic term, and just to explain it in plain English, Endogeneity means that they are merely coincidental and not cause and effect. So this is saying that it's not merely coincidental, and that it is cause and effect. And the last bullet point that I really think is important, and it really ties into the next study that I'm going to talk about, is that the differences in reservation wages can arise from productivity differences, the fact that women anticipate discrimination, and the different personality traits or preferences. And just because I want to keep this short and sweet, I'm going to jump into the next study, and it's about teenage aspirations and adult career attainment. And it was done in the United Kingdom and used for the same reason as I used Germany, because it has a very close gap and it is a westernized culture. Also, to keep it short, I'm going to put a full paragraph that I think is really relevant, but I'm really going to focus on one point of this paragraph. It says, however, adolescent males place significantly more importance than adolescent females on being challenged in a job. Regarding teenage career aspirations, a significantly higher proportion of teenage girls aspire to a professional or managerial job, 36% of the teenage girls compared to 29% of teenage boys. Again, I'm just going to leave this up, and if you want to pause the video and read the rest of that paragraph, it's just straight from the study, just so you get the full thing of like what they looked at. So on to when they're adults. I'm just going to read this whole thing because I really think it's important. So at age 34, females had achieved a higher level of education and a higher mean level occupational status attainment than males. However, a higher proportion of males were represented in the top professional category, and a higher proportion of females were represented in the bottom two categories. Males also reported significantly higher weekly earnings than females. The pattern was the same when comparing males and females of full-time employment. Males earned a mean of 405 pounds per week compared to females 329 pounds. Females in full-time professional or managerial positions earned a mean of 388 pounds per week compared to 478 pounds for males. Part-time females also had a lower mean earnings than males, yet this difference was not significant owing to the small number of males in part-time employment. So what I really want to point out is that this study really reinforces their last bullet point in the last study, that the differences in reservation wages can arise from productivity differences, the fact that women anticipate discrimination, and different personality traits or preferences. So with the productivity differences, adolescent males placed a significantly more importance than females on being challenged in the job. The fact that women anticipate discrimination is not necessarily shown in the study, but it does lower the reservation wage, as it said in the first study. And if you want to read that, it will be in the description box below. The different personality traits or preferences is what I really think hits home. So it says part-time females also had a lower mean earnings than males, and that's what it said in the first one. But it said it was not statistically significant. And it also said in the first study, which I didn't show this, it said this means that we exclude all individuals who do not actively search for a new job, since we only observe reservation wages for those who do, or contemplate part-time employment, which are nearly exclusively women. And this is showing that mostly women are choosing the part-time jobs over the men. And this is all speculation, but it could be due to women trying to trade off time for less money, whether that's spending more time with kids or they just want time off. Anyway, what I'm trying to get at here is that much of the gender wage gap can be boiled down to preferences, which is explained by the reservation wage. And what I want to get at also is that it's not inherently a bad thing for women to want to do less compared to men or want more time off compared to men, etc. I believe, and I know that I'm not the only one, that women should be able to choose whatever they want to do. And if that means that they earn less because they'd rather go into childcare or engineering or stay in a part-time job because of children or hobbies, I really think that they should be able to do that. Getting to the larger picture of this video, I really think addressing the gender wage gap and its differing sides would be beneficial to teenagers in your audience that also might be on the fence of this issue, or those that are ready to be red-pilled just as you have been. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see a video like the how many freaking genders you put up about the gender wage gap soon.